Okay, so the Mustang GTD and the C8 ZR1. Everyone's been talking about both of these cars for the better part of a year. Chevy and Ford are releasing both of these cars this year in 2025. And in my opinion, I feel like this will be the pinnacle of American automotive engineering. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the GTD and the C8 ZR1, but instead of just doing some boring sit-down discussion, we're going to hop in the Shelby and talk about the GTD, and then we're going to switch over to the Stingray, which hopefully you guys have seen the unveil video so far, but we're going to hop in the Stingray and talk about the C8 ZR1. Obviously, both of these cars don't compare in any way, shape, or form to the GTD or the C8 ZR1, but I mean, the Shelby at least has the same motor as the GTD, kind of. C8 ZR1 obviously is nowhere near the Stingray. So I think we should take the Stingray first, since this car is the newest car on the channel. But with the Corvette, I think you guys are going to be kind of, I don't want to say pissed off, but I think you guys are kind of going to be challenging some of the things I'm going to be saying about the ZR1 and how it compares to not only the Stingray, but the GTD. The C8 ZR1, like I mentioned, obviously this car does not compare at all to the Stingray, but I still think this would be a good base, at least, for us to compare with not only the ZR1 and the GTD, but the Stingray itself. So obviously everyone knows that the Stingray is pretty much the lowest trim of the Corvette. Still a really nice car. I mean, you cannot go wrong with this car at all. But the Stingray is a little over 500 horsepower short of the ZR1. So obviously nothing that we can compare, you know, as far as performance for these cars. But honestly, I think that if Chevrolet was intending on this car being like the next fastest American sports car for the ring, we would have seen a time by now. But that's not to say that this thing probably can't perform on the ring, let alone any other track. But 1,000 horsepower or 815 horsepower, you don't even need any of that to have fun on the street. This car has, what, 458 something horsepower, and we can still do this. All right, there's a big cloud of smoke behind me. We weren't even going that fast, I swear, but you don't need that much horsepower to still have fun on the street. Plus, like 95% of people that are actually buying the ZR1 aren't even going to take it to the track. I mean, you have that 5% or less savage individuals who will buy that car and maybe only put track miles on it. I know for the GT350 and the GT500, there's definitely a lot more guys who are tracking that car, and even the C8 Z06. But again, those cars are, you know, $75,000 plus cheaper than the ZR1. Going back to my point about the new ZR1 and the GTD, I definitely think that Chevrolet's goal was obviously to make the fastest ZR1 that they've ever made, and probably the fastest American-made production car ever made. But with the GTD being hyper-focused on the track, especially the Nürburgring, that car, the ZR1, is going to come nowhere close to the GTD as far as lap times and stuff. Pretty much everybody knows that Ford, Chevy, and used to be Dodge have always battled it out for their high horsepower rear-wheel drive combo freaking death machines. But honestly, this generation's different, man. You know, things are changing. The GTD was a surprise to a lot of folks because Ford's usual pattern with the release of their Mustangs is the GT, and obviously alongside the EcoBoost or the V6. And then after the GT and the EcoBoost, you get the Shelby. And then the Shelby is typically always the top of the line, but that's different for this generation since the GTD came out first, right after the GT, or sorry, right after the Dark Horse. All right, we got some space. I'm gonna give this thing a little rip. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. What? Okay. Alright. That's probably the fastest accelerating car I've ever driven. Not the fastest accelerating car I've ever ridden in. The fastest accelerating car I've ever ridden in is a Tesla Model 3. wasn't even a plaid. I probably shouldn't have even done that because the ground's kind of wet, but I kind of want to do that again. It's just crazy to me that you can buy Stingrays now, a C8 Stingray, for high 70s and get this kind of performance, these kind of looks, this kind of interior. If you took somebody off the street, blindfolded them, and then put them into this car, took away all the badging that showed that it was a Corvette, I guarantee you, to the untrained eye, they would not know that this car was American, let alone a Corvette. One thing this car definitely needs, though, since we're talking about all this performance, is some exhaust. I don't think that's going to get old anytime soon. Okay, so before we wrap up with this car, I definitely want to say this is a huge switch up from the 350. But again, if I had to put all my money into any Corvette, I would definitely choose the C6 ZR1. And although the C6 ZR1 would be my ideal pick, I wish that I could take the interior of this car and somehow throw it into the C6 ZR1. Because as much as I love that car, I definitely know that if I were to purchase one, I would love every single thing about it except the dated interior. But enough talk about the Corvettes and the C8 ZR1. Let's hop into the Shelby and talk about this GTD. Okay, so as fun as that was, I definitely still prefer shifting gears. Another thing that the GTD has that not only the 350 doesn't have, but the C8 ZR1 doesn't have as well, is DRS. So those who know DRS know that it is a aerodynamic component derived directly from Formula One. Even most recently, it's been introduced in the new 992 GT3 RS. I think everybody was surprised to see that it's now in a freaking Mustang. I mean, 10 years ago, people thought Ford was crazy for coming out with a Mustang that had the huge wing that came on the back of the 350R. As nice as the GTD is, and as much as I would love to drive one, you still can't do this in a GTD. So that being said, I guess that'll lead me to ask you guys if you would prefer a dual clutch transmission that comes in the GTD, or if you would prefer that analog shifting experience that comes in the GT350 with the manual gear shifter. I think it's pretty obvious what I would choose if I had to between the paddle shifter and the manual gear shifter. All right, we're back at the same spot that we did that launch with the C8 in. Oh my God. Oh my God. So I'm gonna try this in the Shelby. I've only ever launched this car one time in the 5 years that I've had it. So let's see how this plays out.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man.
All right, we gotta do that again. We gotta do that again. Was that a spider? Oh my God. It's the largest goddamn spider I've ever seen in my life. not want to live anywhere where I can see a spider walking on the side of the road like a human while I'm driving my car. Yeah, baby. All right, that was better. That was better. All right, we have like 10 minutes of sunlight left. So let's hurry up and get back to the house so that we can talk about both of these cars again and close this out. I'm so happy we filmed this video whenever we did because the freaking sky is about to fall out. All right, so we just wrapped up filming with both of the cars. You guys let me know what you would prefer between the GTD and the C8 ZR1. I know that the GTD is twice the price as the C8 ZR1, but some guys would still prefer either or. So you guys let me know. I'm gonna get out of this rain and I'll see you guys in the next one.